Good morning. Today we are going to be doing notes number 10. We will learn about isosceles and equilateral triangles. Question 1. An isosceles triangle has a perimeter of 22 inches. Remember, perimeter means if I add up all the sides, I would get 22. The two equal sides are each 2 inches longer than the third side. How long is the third side? So I know I have an isosceles triangle, and with an isosceles triangle, that means that two of the sides are equal. So I'm going to draw my two dashes here. That means that those sides are equal, and they are 2 inches longer than the third side. So whenever you got a word problem, you normally want to start with the part that's at the end. So we're going to label this third side that we don't know as x. And now the other sides, the two equal sides, they're 2 inches longer. So 2 inches longer would mean that we would add 2. So if our bottom here, our base is x, the other sides we can label as x plus 2 and x plus 2 because they are 2 inches longer than the third side. Now I'm going to set up my equation because I know my perimeter is 22. So if I add up all the sides, x plus 2 plus x plus 2, I would get 22. Now we are going to combine our like terms. So I have x plus x plus x, that would give me 3x. And then I have plus 2 plus 2. So 2 plus 2 will give me 4. 4 plus 4 equals 22. Subtract 4 on both sides. We're left with 3x equals 18. I would divide by 3 on each side, and you'll get x equals 6. And this question asks you for that third side, so that base equals 6, and our unit here is inches. Question 2. Two sides of an isosceles triangle measure 3 and 7. Which of the following could be the measure of the third side? So for an isosceles triangle, we know that two sides are congruent. And they give me the number 3 and the number 7. So automatically I can eliminate choice 1 because that's 9 and choice 4 because that's 5. None of those are 3 or 7. Now I want to decide if my third side is either 7 or 3. So I need to find the range for the third side. So to do that, we would find the difference between the two numbers. 7 minus 3 would give me 4. And then I would see the sum is 7 plus 3 equals 10. So I know my range has to be a number in between 4 and 10. So that would be choice 2. 7 is in between 4 and 10. 3 is not. Question 3. The vertex of an isosceles triangle measures 8 times the measure of a base angle. Find the measure of a base angle. So the vertex angle is 8 times. 8 times you want to think multiplication. The measure of a base angle. So remember, for the word problem, you always want to start with what's at the end of the sentence. So the base angle, I'm going to let that be x. And I have two base angles here. And it's an isosceles triangle. I know the sides are equal. Now we're looking for that vertex angle. The vertex angle is 8 times, so I'm going to label that top angle as 8x. The measure of a base angle, so to find that, I know that a triangle adds up to 180. So my equation would be 8x plus x equals 180. 8x plus x, or 8 plus 1 will give me 10x, which equals 180. Divide by 10 on each side. You're left with x equals 18. And this question asks you for the base angle. X here, to plug it back in, would just be 18. Question 4. In triangle ABC, angle A is congruent to angle B. Measure of angle A equals 48. line segment AC equals 4x, and line segment BC equals 6x minus 5. Find the measure of angle C and the lengths of line segments AC and BC. I'm going to start by labeling my triangle A, B, C. It tells me that angle A is congruent to angle B, and the measure of angle A equals 48. So A, I'm going to label that as 48 degrees. And I know if A is 48 and A is congruent to B, then B is also 48. I also know that congruent angles means that the sides across from them are congruent. So that's why I'm drawing those dashes. Line segment AC equals 4x. So I'm going to label the lines as 4x. And line segment BC equals 6x minus 5, so I'm going to label this 6x minus 5. First, find the measure of angle C. So for the measure of angle C, that's that vertex angle at the top. I know that a triangle adds up to 180, so I'm going to do 180 minus both angles, so minus the 48, minus 48. When you subtract both of those numbers, you're going to get 84 degrees for angle C. Now, looking at the two line segments, I know that what I have in blue, the 4x and the 6x minus 5, those are congruent sides, so I'm going to set them equal to each other. 4x equals 6x minus 5. To solve for x, I'll subtract 6x from both sides. 4x minus 6x is negative 2x equals negative 5. Divide by negative 2. You'll get x equals 5 over 2. Now this problem is not only asking you for x, they're asking you for the sides AC and BC. So to plug that back in, AC was 4x, you'd plug in 4 and then parentheses 5 over 2. When you plug that in, you're going to get 10. So line segment AC equals 10. And then you would do the same thing with the 6x minus 5. So I'm just going to put that up here. 6 parentheses 5 over 2 minus 5. And again, plug that into your calculator, you'll get 10. So you know that both of these sides are 10 and they are congruent, which makes sense because they are congruent sides. Question 5, true or false? Triangle ABC is isosceles. So I don't know all the angles inside of triangle ABC, so I need to find those angles. When I look at this straight line, I see that this angle is 22 degrees. I know that a straight line adds to 180, so if I do 180 minus 22, I'm going to get 158, meaning that inside angle is 158. So I'm going to write that inside. So now I know two angles on my triangle. So to find that missing angle, angle A, I'm going to do 180 minus the 158 minus the 78, and I'm going to get 56 degrees. So I'm going to label that inside angle over here, 56. So all of my angles together would be 158, 56, 78. So true or false, this triangle is isosceles. That would be false because I don't have two congruent angles. Question number 6. AB is perpendicular to BC. So perpendicular means that they form right angles, which are 90 degrees. That can symbolize that with a little box. Again, we know that is 90. Measure of angle A is 44. And measure of angle E is 21. Find the measure of angle EDC. So I'm looking for this angle over here. I know the triangle on the left has angles of 90 and 44. So to find the angle in the middle, I would do 180 minus 90 minus 44. And when you do that, you're going to get 46. So this inside angle is 46. You know that vertical angles are congruent, so this angle over here is also 46. Now, my last step to find angle EDC, I would do 180 minus 46 minus 21, because those are the two angles that are in this triangle, and you're going to get 113 degrees for angle EDC. Equilateral triangles. An equilateral triangle is a triangle with all equal or congruent sides and all equal angles. So that would mean each angle is 60 degrees. The reason for this is because a triangle has a total of 180 degrees, and if you divided that by 3, you would get 60. So each angle would be 60 degrees. Question 1. An equilateral triangle has a perimeter of 78. Find the value of each side of the triangle. So I know all of these sides are congruent, and if the perimeter is 78, I would take that perimeter of 78 and divide it by 3. When you divide 78 by 3, you should get 26, which means each side is 26. Question 2, true or false? Every equilateral triangle is equiangular. Equilateral means that the sides are equal, and equiangular means that the angles are equal. So we know that if we have all the sides being congruent, the angles across from them are also equivalent. So this is true. We can write equal sides equals equal angles. Question 3. An equilateral triangle DEF, the measure of angle D equals 3x plus y, the measure of angle E equals 2x plus 40, and the measure of angle F equals 2y. Find x, y, measure of angle D, measure of angle E, measure of angle F. So make sure to remember this is an equilateral triangle, which means that all of our sides and all of our angles are going to be equal. So I'm going to start by labeling my triangle as DEF. It says angle D is 3x plus y, and angle E is 2x plus 40. Angle F is 2y. Find xy, measure of angle D, angle E, and angle F. So I know that this triangle is equilateral, so that means that all of my sides are congruent, and when all of your sides are congruent, all of your angles are congruent. This problem looks a little bit tricky because we have multiple variables for each angle. However, if you think about it, all of these angles are congruent. So I know that if I had a triangle adds up to 180. If I divide that by 3, that would give me 60. That means that all of the angles here add up to, all of them individually are 60 degrees. So I'm going to take angle F because angle F looks the simplest. It only has one letter. So if I was to take angle F equals 2y, and in this case we know that all of the angles equal 60. 2y equals 60. If I divide by 2 on each side, I get y equals 30. So I already found one variable. Now I want to find x. So to find x, I'm going to take angle D, and angle D is 3x plus y. But now I know y is 30, so I'd replace the y with 30, and we know again this angle equals to 60 because each of these angles equals 60. I would subtract the 30. 3x will equal 30. Divide by 3, and you get x equals 10. So I know that y equals 30 and x equals 10. We can plug them back in to confirm that all of these angles are 60, but I can tell just from having an equilateral triangle that all of these angles are going to be equal to 60, so I can label them. Angle F equals 60, angle E equals 60, and angle D equals 60. And if we plug those back in, you'll get the same answer. You'll still get 60. Your homework for tonight is going to be to complete questions 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can skip the review questions at the bottom. So homework number 1 through 4.